So yeah guys, today I want to share about my experience of solving over 100 LeetCode problems and how it changed my life and how it has been specifically and what I'm going through. I just want to share my experiences, my lessons and the things that I've learned over the last few months that I've been on this journey of solving LeetCode problems and trying to improve my coding ability and problem solving ability. Data structures and algorithms was a subject for me that was quite close. It was taught to me by a professor at our university who was really good at it, who was really good at teaching it, and it was something that clicked with me for a long time. You know, there are subjects where you don't really understand it because you've never been taught it the way it should have been taught. But this teacher, may God bless him, may God guide him, he just absolutely teaches me the way it should have been taught. And data structures is actually a pretty good subject if you think about it. It's very analytical and simple in its foundation, but when it comes to its application, it can be just done in such a vast, different, complex applications, right? So there are a lot of complex applications that could be made out of it. And the thing I really found good about DSA was that it's something that you don't need a lot of prior skills too, because it's something that's easy. Any beginner who has relatively good IQ is able to solve it. So that was my history on how I, kind of got into this subject. But then going into it, I felt that I kind of found out, and I always kind of knew that at the end of engineering, I gotta get a job, I gotta get a placement, and for that, almost every interview you go out there and you see them, they always say that DSA is important, DSA is important, you gotta have your DSA ready. So that's what I did, that's what I tried to start. And here I want to make a quick shout out to my friend Always, who really helped me out and really encouraged me to start LeetCoding, because for me, I always knew that I needed to start LeetCoding, but then I never really knew when should I start it. I never really gave myself the permission that was required to start LeetCode. And I think that's where Always, my friend who really helped me. It was really crazy how I started LeetCoding, it was the first day. It was the first day, I remember it very clearly. It was the night, alright? It was the night I was actually kind of just anxious going through the life, through the hours. Kind of message my friends like, bro, I'm just thinking of LeetCoding. I want to start LeetCoding. I want to solve problems on LeetCode. But I don't know how. I don't feel like it. I mean, when do I start? So interestingly, I gave that message and my friend was like, you know what? Let's do it today. Let's start right now. Let's solve a problem today, right now. And to me, that was sudden. To me, that was quite quick. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest, man. That guy, whew. So it was just that day. And he kind of just forced me, bro, before the end of the night, before 12 a.m., sorry, you gotta do something. You gotta solve at least one problem. And mind you, I didn't really had a LeetCode profile till now, if I remember it correctly. It just started out from there, and the first problem, right? It was not even about just me. I was just trying to quickly find a problem that I could solve and then just get out of it, because I didn't really want to spend a lot of time. It was absolutely I only had almost 3 to 4 hours to kind of solve that problem, alright? And I really wanted to finish one before the end of the night so that I could say something to my friends. So that was the twosome problem. I know it's a classic LeetCode problem and I love it. So it was the first LeetCode problem I solved, the twosome one. And then, I kind of flow from there. The interesting thing is, I kinda don't like Java a lot. It's kind of too verbose and it's not my thing. I love Python more. And as an EML engineer, I know that going on to the future, all AI and ML tasks are done in Python. So I didn't really want to even data analytics is done in Python primarily. So I didn't really want to invest myself in another language. But that night was just so quick that I ended up doing that problem in Java, which was kind of crazy. I know it's crazy. But then I solved that problem in Python as well. That's good. So that's how I started. I started with the twosome problem. It was kind of easy. I mean, if you can think about it, if you can do it, I think it's easy. And then from then on, it just went on. I would say I kind of figured out new things about LeetCode. I looked into other platforms like LeetCode, for example, Geeks for Geeks and whatnot. And I kind of find LeetCode to be the one that's good for me, because I could give a damn less about how it's being asked in a company or something like that, because for me it was just about the experience, about solving problems, and and the UI is just fabulous. Like shout out to the guys at LeetCode, you guys have done such an awesome job of creating such interactive UI. I think you can do better. Obviously, just try to tweak a little few things. Email me if you wanna do something for you, maybe some recommendations for you. But regardless, I think LeetCode has such a good gaming theory behind what they do that it really makes it addictive at the start or like in the beginning to do a lot of lead coding. I remember like in the early days, my rank at LeetCode was around 3.6 million. Now it's around 0.7 million, so 0.7, 0.8. And I think it's been crazy when you track it. And there's a nice tweet that I remember from Alex Hormozy. It's like one of the most fun games to play are the games where you get to track your progress the most. And I think that's what exactly LeetCode does, and that's what makes LeetCode so attractive, as well as more engaging and more fun than other platforms. If you are like that kind of guy who needs that additional motivation, so to speak, because I really think that LeetCode in itself is a very good platform which uses the game theory like really mad, like the game theory that they apply in their application and to kind of hook the users onto solving LeetCode problems is I think absolutely amazing. And I think that's perhaps one of the main reasons why I've stuck to that platform for so long, maybe like more than 2-3 months for now at this point in time. And I think that's pretty crazy if you think about it. Because for me, I've always solved at least like one problem a day for like a very, very long time. I had crazy streaks, like I had 2 streaks more than 25 days, more than 20 days. So that has been the thing for me. There have been times where I haven't done any problems. I want to take some breaks. There have been some days where I've taken breaks, but then on the days that I was kind of consistent and in my mojo, I did solve one problem each day. And I think that has been really good for me because I found out that LeetCode as a way of improving my skills, coding skills, has been something that's been tremendously valuable to me. So that's what I did, and that experience has been really amazing. And LeetCode is hard. Like LeetCode's easy and LeetCode's hard at the same time. It depends on what kind of solve problems you're going to solve. And one of the things that really had this early realization on LeetCode and DSA was that DSA is an ocean. Literally, there are so many algorithms, so many data structures. But like you don't need a lot of them. You don't need all of them to perhaps get a job. I've heard a lot from people who have used LeetCode to get jobs and all. It's like they just say that you have to do the most basic ones, the most frequently asked ones. But even then, those are a lot. And so for a beginner, it is quite overwhelming, as it was for me to kind of deal with all of that and like go with it and just try to find the ones that are like most asked. I do shout out to LeetCode as well. That guy's been really amazing, and his 75 important questions, and then there's this guy called Strivers Take You Forward. Those two guys have been really helpful in like trying to figure out what kind of questions I should solve. So like getting help as much as possible for free online has been something that has helped me a lot in this. And I would also say and encourage that you do it as well. As a beginner, you don't really know what's going on. So I didn't really know, like I had to brush up a lot of things coming into DSA because I'd forgotten it. But then I got into it and pretty much I was able to cover up. But then there are a lot of things I still kind of struggle with, like especially with graphs and trees, man. Like a lot of recursion is used in them. That's where I'm actually stuck right now currently, like learning recursion very well to kind of solve the DFS problems that involve with it. So I think that has been very good experience for me to kind of go around, and I feel like that's what I think I need to really improve upon. And like the valuable lessons for me has been that there are hard problems. The hard problems are pretty iffy. I would say the hard problems on LeetCode are quite hard. And there are things that many times I didn't understand. There are many things that are still going off my head. For example, there's this permutations problem, and I know the algorithm behind it, the way it works, but the code implementation is still something that I don't get. And being honest with you, there are only a few problems that I could I've solved by myself, because I couldn't really solve a lot of problems. So for me, I also think that I'm a bit more impulsive when it comes to solving problems. So I don't really give myself a lot of time before I actually just jump on the solution, see what it's all about, and then figure out the answer and type it in. I think that's where I think I need to be improving upon, because I also think that, you know, when I am on LeetCode, I just find myself too compulsive. Just go on, like, just give myself like 5 minutes, 25 minutes, and then just like hit the solution button and just get the solution, understand the solution, and then just not, rather than just trying to like use my own brain to kind of solve those problems. So I think that's where I have to kind of like really improve, not to like give myself more time. And I think it's kind of crazy because, you know, there are people I've heard that like have given like 8 hours to solving the problem, or like 1 hour, like a lot of time to solve a problem they can, and then they kind of like go for it, and then just look for the solution. I don't think that's like optimal anyways, but you gotta give yourself at least some time, right, to like solve the problem. And if you then can't, then you go and do it. Because one of the other things I'll tell you guys, which is like really amazing about solving the problem on your own, is that when you do, it's like really amazing feeling. It's a really amazing feeling, guys, when you solve the problem by yourself. There have been a couple of times where I've done that, and it's pretty amazing. You know, there has been one time where not only did I solve an easy LeetCode problem, but it was one of the most efficient ones out there. So for me, that is an achievement that I love. Like, that's an achievement that has been really, I don't know, man. It just felt so good that time, you know, like I solved a problem on myself. So I think that's one of the advantages of solving LeetCode problems, and even the way they gamify it, like 90% better than other users in memory and runtime. So that's something that's amazing. And to be honest, I don't really have a structured way of solving these problems that I've solved. It's just like whatever I just feel like on that day, or kind of having like feeling like a day. And like earlier, it used to be that way though. I just would open it, find whatever that seems interesting, and then I solve it. But then I figured out that if I do go this way, then I won't be able to cover the breadth of the things that I needed to learn in DSA, as well as the depth of the things that I need to learn on DSA. So that's why I kind of developed. I have this yellow sticky now, if you guys can see or not. But yeah, you know, things I'm working on, right? Trees, graphs, backtracking, DP, and priority queuing. Stick it back. Yeah, those are the kind of things that I'm working on, I would say. Those are things on data structures that I'm trying to crack next, I would say, because I think arrays, two-pointers, and those kind of problems have been the majority of the problems that I've solved. It's not to say that they are easy, but also, you know, they are kind of not everything. So it's something that's really interesting as well, because when you are trying to solve new data structures and using new algorithms, you're kind of afraid. At least I am. I'm kind of afraid to solve those problems, and it kind of feels a bit scary. But then you do it oftentimes enough, then you can do it. I think that's interesting, isn't it? Like, you expose yourself to fear and it no longer scares you. Isn't that interesting now? Like, things that are scary at first aren't scary at all. Isn't it? That kind of creases me out, like, sometimes, especially with LeetCode, that is. Like, it's tremendously powerful in the way we can utilize and like take our fears and that scaring feeling in our hearts, and just like try to console and cajole ourselves from thinking that, you know what, I know you are scared, I know you're afraid of it, but then over time it will go away. That's really powerful, Mike. That's really powerful for me, and that's how it has been for me. And another part of it that has been actually really good for me has been competition. I didn't really think I was this much of a competitive guy, it wouldn't matter, but there were two guys that I looked up to who were already on LeetCode. One of them was around 37th question, solved 37 questions already, and the other one was like solved around like 70 or 60 questions at that time. So me and this guy, like, we were on this frenzy to see who could cover most LeetCode problems. So kind of started on that, and then I kind of left him in the dust, you know, at this point in time. I mean, he has solved more difficult problems than me, but he's around 80 problems in the number of problems that he solved, and now I'm around like more than 100. So that has been pretty good. As far as his journey is concerned, in terms of how it has changed my life, I don't think it has done much. If you think about it, earlier, you know, when I'll tell you one thing that has changed though. It's like when you are trying to see that there is a when you're trying to compare two things in like SMS, like WhatsApp, you say that cat equals love. You don't usually do it because one equal to is assignment and then two equal signs are for equality comparison. So that's where I've started doing it more. So when I want to compare some things, I don't use a single equal to sign. I use two equal to signs to kind of do that. Kind of like programming geek out of me. Yeah, so when I do and send my WhatsApp messages, no, that's what I try to do. I know it's kind of nerdy, but that's what it is. And then when it comes to other things, I would say it has been pretty good in like knowing how to solve a problem, because now I just get like for the problems that I've solved, I can just look at the question and then can tell which pattern it involves. Like it's pretty much pattern matching. If you think about it, you just see a problem and then you say, what kind of pattern is it about? What kind of question does it require? What kind of algorithm does it require? What kind of pattern of a question it is? And then you solve that question with that kind of pattern of the answer. So I think it's pretty good to know that like DSA is mostly about like finding patterns and like what patterns fit what questions and what kind of solutions to those patterns exist and what sort of questions can be answers can be directly applied to those questions. I think that's pretty sick in its own way. I don't think it takes much time, at least for me. It didn't take much time to kind of figure out which the kind of patterns that are like in questions. Once you kind of able to see them, you know like what kind of solution it requires. I think that's what it's really important. I would say at the end of the day, at least for now. Like when it comes to especially like 2 pointers and stuff, like you really know when you are asked to solve a problem that deals with arrays. And I think that's pretty much been it. It's been a pretty fun journey. There have been times where I have kind of wanted to like pluck my hairs out, like I've done like metaphorically speaking, because I didn't really understand anything. But if you give yourself time, at least when I gave myself time and like sat patiently through it and just like observed what it's really about, took 2 steps out of it, got out of myself and see like what's all this problem all about, and then trying to like patiently try to solve the problem. It has more or less helped me solve the problem. Not all the time. There's still some times I get tripped up in DSA and don't understand things. But when I do, I love it. I love it, and I think that has been pretty good for me to kind of see how if I allow myself time and then be patient with myself, I can really solve problems. That's something that I've learned from solving basic problems and lead coding. It's been a pretty fun journey. It's been a pretty fun journey. It's pretty much me. Like don't take it from me. I'm just a regular guy trying to solve LeetCode problems. Just a novice beginner in it. So I hope it was useful to you.